Rob Thomas with Club and Resort Business, and welcome to another episode of Club and Resort Talks. Today's podcast is sponsored by Frommuth Racket Sports. Having thrived in the wholesale racket sports industry for more than 50 years, Frommuth has established strong partnerships and renowned brands and organizations. If you are fortunate enough to be involved in the racket sports business, Frommuth would be honored to collaborate with you as your trusted partner. Experience the Frommuth difference today and elevate your racket sports, running, and fitness endeavors with unparalleled products and services. Learn more at frommuthtennis.com. Now that we got that out of the way, let me introduce you to Phil Keren, our senior editor. Phil, how's it going?
I'm doing well, Rob. How are you?
Wonderful. No complaints at all. We got falls upon us.
Yes.
So what else are you seeing in the news?
Well, I was going to start with mentioning my visit to a club last week, Portage Country Club in Akron, Ohio. They hosted the PGA Hope Cup, and PGA Hope is the flagship military program of PGA Reach, which is a charitable foundation of PGA of America. And PGA Hope is actually an acronym in that name, which stands for Helping Our Patriots Everywhere. And PGA Hope provides golf instruction to veterans and active duty military service members, with the goal being of improving their mental, social, and emotional well-being. And I actually visited one of the clinics earlier in the summer out at Windmill Lakes golf course. And here at late September, Portage Country Club was fortunate enough to host the PGA Hope Cup, which was a 9-hole scramble that featured 10 teams. Each had 4 military veterans and then a Northeast Ohio golf professional with them as well. It actually would have been the golf pro that worked with them at their program here earlier in the summer. So they competed in the event. I think everybody had a great time. I was out there to take video, talk to some folks. I know Portage Country Club was excited to host the event. I talked to their COO, Joseph Moore, also the head pro, Mark Lewicki. They were both excited to do it. They were actually kind of pinch hitting on it. It was actually supposed to be at a different course in Northeast Ohio, and it was supposed to be late August, and we had a heavy storm overnight, and the next morning was supposed to happen then, and they had to cancel at a different location. So they checked in with Portage Country Club, and they were able to host it, and it was an excellent event. I have some video up there on clubandresortbusiness.com, and I think they're hoping again to host it. I'm assuming it'll probably be hosted at a different venue next year, and more of the clinics happening next spring and summer as well. It's an excellent program to help out veterans and military service members, and the clubs are doing a great job of being involved with supporting that effort.
Fantastic. You got to meet my buddy Barry Friedman from Valley of the Eagles. It's a Troon property out in Elyria, Ohio. Super good guy and a good golfer. I played with him before at his course, and it's wonderful. Check out the video. Like Phil said, it's on clubandresortbusiness.com. Go to the resources tab, pull it down, and you can just go to videos, or you can search PGA Hope, and it'll be on the website. It's also on our YouTube channel, so check that out as well. If you happen to be watching this on YouTube, you're already there, so give it a look. What else is going on, Phil?
Well, we had also one thing to mention as well. We just finished our October issue of Club and Resort Business, and my column. Actually, I mentioned the PGA Hope program in there because I was doing a column just kind of talking about a theme of clubs doing various efforts to help out charitable causes. And it was good timing because this week, one of our stories on the website, which actually didn't get a chance to put in the column, talked about, speaking of Troon affiliated golf properties are flying pink checkered flags on their 18th greens to raise awareness about breast cancer and to support Play for Pink. In that case, PINK's also an acronym, this time for Prevention, Immediate Diagnosis, New Technology, Knowledge, and also other breast cancer charity organizations. Contra Costa Country Club in Pleasant Hill, California, I guess already had a fundraising tournament early September, raised more than $55,000 for breast cancer research and awareness. So a lot of good stuff about clubs helping out different charitable causes around the country.
These the private club industry, you think of people who belong to country clubs. And I know Brooks Koepka was just in the news for saying F the country club kids, talking about
Right.
the PGA Tour players. And sometimes country club members get a bad rap for just being exclusive and elite, but really not only the members, as you see with the true members, these are like a lot of member organized committees. But the clubs themselves and the management companies really put a lot of time and effort to giving back to the community. In fact, our October feature is on the Riviera Club in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's a great swim and tennis club, but the Olympians have come out of there. It's a wonderful cause. But the Riviera Club Foundation is the real news with that club. Is their goal, their mission is to end drownings. Unintentional drownings is the official term. I guess, intentional drownings are a little nefarious. So that's a different category altogether. But so they work with some local clubs and organizations to bring in people from the community. I think the second largest cause of adolescent deaths is drowning. So they want to teach everybody to swim. And it's something like it's a private club. It's paid to belong there. It's the wonderful operation. Food and beverage is off the charts, but they really giving back to the community. So, congrats to the Rivi, they call it. Congrats to Troon, Contra Costa, all the clubs that are involved in these situations.
Well, on the swimming, that's interesting. It's great to hear that with that club, because I know early in my time with Club and Resort Business, I was interested in trying to find out about whether any clubs were involved with, well, this very type of effort that you just described. And I unfortunately didn't find a lot. I didn't spend a lot of time researching it, but I was curious about it because indeed it is. I mean, swimming, of course, is a lot of fun for everybody, but let's face it, obviously it's a skill that can save your life as well. So it's an essential, even if it's something that you're not, I never did swimming competitively myself, but it was obviously important to my parents, and my sister and I learned to swim because they recognize the importance of it in a lot of situations. And it's great to see a club, and I would hope more clubs would maybe follow their lead on trying to do this type of thing as well, because yeah, it's such a drowning, such a tragic thing. But the thing is too, it's such a preventable thing too, if people are being proactive and initiating kind of programs like we're seeing there in Indianapolis.
Yeah, well, so many of these clubs have pools. They're
Mhm.
not always in use. They are in use an awful lot because of the competitive swim programs. But when they're not in use, it'd be great to knock off an hour of member time to bring in the community, teach these kids or young adults how to swim, and not only that, but CPR. I know some clubs are also involved in CPR training, which God forbid somebody does drown, somebody does have a medical emergency around the pool. They can really go a long way to help in the situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else going on, Phil?
Only thing else I wanted to mention was we now that we've put the October issue of Club and Resort Business to bed, we have now upcoming for November. We have the Top Ranked Pro Shops program is happening, and submissions can be submitted here up until October 13th. So we'll look forward to seeing what clubs have to show, what they have to offer in terms of the pro shops here. Looking forward to that. We had a month off from doing the Top Rank program last month, but we'll be back to it here with the November issue.
Hey, get on it. I've seen some wonderful pro shops out there, and I know they're out there. I know there's people who are very, very proud of the work they put into the pro shops. I'd love to see it. Let us know. Do a shout out and get your club's recognition, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there are plenty of them out there that are worthy of recognition, including ones that haven't submitted before. So highly encourage people to do that at clubandresortbusiness.com.
Hey, enough of you and I. Let's get to our guest. Can you give us a little brief intro into who you spoke to and what you spoke about?
Sure. And, on this show, we've talked many times about the different, about how clubs, country clubs, resorts, golf clubs are trying to do more to provide members, guests with new types of entry points to the game of golf, right? So we've been seeing that quite a bit. Um, Putting courses is one that's cropped up now. We're seeing more of that happening. Um, and I had an opportunity to speak with two gentlemen from the country club at Castle Pines in Castle Rock, Colorado, about an hour south of Boulder. And they, just in these last few years, they did build a putting course that's called the Crags, which actually they'll explain on there what's behind that name. Mark Lewicki, the director of sales and marketing at the Country Club of Castle Pines, and Lance Lauer, um, director of agronomy at the Country Club at Castle Pines, spoke with me about why they decided to build the putting course. Talked about some of the details of the design, which are really pretty cool, kind of very unique and innovative, and also how members have responded so far. I will give away one little thing about it, which I didn't really realize that much in talking about putting courses. They did talk about the fact that the putting course is truly for fun, for a social occasion. It's not intended as a warm up for heading out on the golf course. So I thought that was interesting. But I don't want to steal their thunder any more than that, other than to say it was a great conversation. Enjoyed talking with both gentlemen, and they're excited about it too, because I think they feel like they're kind of the only game in town out there with the putting course, and they're kind of taking the lead on that, and they think it's going to be helpful in growing membership.
All right, terrific, Phil. Let's get to it.
Welcome to another installment of Club and Resort Talks. I'm Phil Keren, Senior Editor of Club and Resort Business. I've been with Club and Resort Business now for about a year and a half, and during that time, we've reported on various efforts to offer different types of entry points to the game of golf. One entry point that we've started to see country clubs offer more often, that is, are putting courses. My guests today on Club and Resort Talks work at a club in Colorado that has a putting course, and we're going to talk about that putting course, why it was built, how it's been received by members, and what the kind of larger trend means for the club and resort industry. Joining me are Mark Lewicki, Director of Sales and Marketing at the Country Club at Castle Pines in Castle Rock, Colorado, and Lance Lauer, Director of Agronomy at the Country Club at Castle Pines. Mark and Lance, welcome to Club and Resort Talks.
Good to be here.
And before we get into the putting course that is offered at your club, can one of you share sort of a brief overview of the golf course you offer at the Country Club at Castle Pines?
The Country Club of Castle Pines was built in 1986. It's a Jack Nicklaus signature design. It's a unique course where I can't say that we're in the mountains, but you get the mountain feel. There's elevation change of about 600 feet from top to bottom up here at the clubhouse to the lowest point on the golf course. So it provides unique challenges and definitely unique views that you don't get everywhere here in the metro area.
Very good. Talk a little bit then. I know that you have a putting course there that's was finished a few years ago. What led up to, what was the reason behind deciding to construct a putting course at your facility?
Yeah, the members here for years had wanted originally to do more of like a punch bowl style putting green. At the time, we did not actually own the land that was directly behind our clubhouse. And so it was pretty much scrub oak, rock, whatever was on that cliff top behind the clubhouse was pretty to look at, but obviously we didn't own it at the time. And in the middle of our expansion project that we just completed last year, one of the things that we were able to do was actually acquire that land in that process, which left us with pretty much a little bit over an acre of space that was directly behind the clubhouse. And they wasted no time tearing out all that scrub oak and seeing what was back there. to take what was originally supposed to be a small punch bowl style green off our locker room space. That quickly became a full acre on a cliff with hundreds of feet of elevation drop down to number 8 and number 9 and number 18 down below us, because we sit at the highest point here pretty much in South Denver, and we are literally on the top of a cliff.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then can you kind of take us through the timeline of when the project began, when it was finished, kind of the different steps that happened along the way?
We started the project in late November, early December 2019. That's when we started clearing the scrub oak behind the clubhouse and kind of trying to just get a better feel of what it all looked like without the scrub oak there. That stuff gets pretty tall, and you can't see the features, I guess, that are existing underneath of it. So once we got all that cleared out, it really expanded into what it is now. And throughout the process, there was a removal of large rocks and bringing in lots of soil to use and shape with. And then in July of 2017 or 2020, excuse me, was when we seeded the green itself, and then it opened in September of that same year.
And then can you tell us what type of feedback you got from members when it was first built, and then even today, what the feedback is from members?
Yeah, absolutely. Originally, the course itself was predominantly, obviously, designed and developed for our golf membership. So it was an extension of what they did, not designed to be part of the practice facility, but more to be part of the entertainment aspect of what they do. So whether that's events and activities connected to their major tournaments, the member guest tournament, or it's just to take a guest out back and be able to go have some fun. It definitely is a different experience. It's got a lot of elevation change. It has speeds that run different than the main putting greens on the course, even though it's the identical construction. If we kept it at the course speeds, we would never keep a ball on it. But the feedback has been phenomenal. Everything from small groups of guys that just like to go and entertain their guests, or some of our ladies when they have guests out, or if it's part of one of our larger events that obviously we're going to have anywhere from 75 to 100 people out there at any given time. So,
and then tell me, Mark, is the putting course available to all members right now?
It is now. Originally, obviously, being a private member-owned club, our golf members were the ones that conceived of the idea and constructed it. So really the first year to 2 years of usage, we wanted to get a feel for what was really going to be like with their use of it, their experiences with it. But now that we've been in 2 full operating seasons with it, the board of directors here made the decision to allow any member, whether it's a social member or a golf member, to be out there to entertain friends, guests. And we actually hold lots of different types of activities and events out there. We've got a nighttime glow golf event coming up in about a month, where any member could come out and enjoy it on those large scale club events that we do.
And I'm curious, so of the members who are using the putting course on a regular basis, I realize maybe I'm just asking for a guess here, any guess on what percentage are people who are either non-golfers or perhaps newcomers to the game of golf?
Yeah, there's some of that. I think what I found is that not so much from like a practice standpoint, I want to get better at golf so then I can become a golf member, but more people that are recreational golfers that wouldn't necessarily purchase a golf membership, really enjoy it. And then obviously from an entertainment standpoint, the beautiful thing, Lance changes the routing pretty much every week. So it's a new course every week. And so it keeps that whole diversity and change going, where somebody can come out and experience it on their own. So the majority of usage is really our golf members connected to a lot of the stuff that they do, but the social aspect of it's growing, especially the more events that we produce for the membership out there. They're obviously revenue drivers, those types of things, cocktail service and music throughout the course. So there's a lot that gets added to that experience because it's really an extension of the clubhouse.
Right. I see. And let's talk a little bit more about the course itself. First of all, where does the name the Crags come from? Can one of you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, the Crags literally comes from the land that it sits on. We went round and round for months on end as to what do we call this thing. And when you look at that cliff line and you started to pull all of the material off of it, the beautiful thing is what you saw was a whole series of rock crags that line that cliff. And that's exactly what a crag is. It's a steep, rugged rock or cliff. And that's exactly what it is. So the name kind of picked itself, and it stuck. So of course we've accentuated it since then and do lots of things around the name. But it's just one of the most unique things that testifies to literally where it sits. It's hundreds of feet above the course below, and it's on this rugged rock crag line cliff. So
okay. And speaking of unique, talk a little bit about the unique features that this putting course has, maybe that set it apart from others. Yeah.
It's I guess the initial inspiration for it came from Sitwell Golf Club, the 12th hole. If you've seen an old picture of that, that was the inspiration of the Crags. So it's severely undulated putting green. There's upwards of 20% slope on some areas. Green speeds again are slow in order to just keep the ball on the putting surface. They don't roll any more than an 8, honestly. So it's very old school in that aspect. But it was meant to be fun, I guess. That's the biggest thing and I think Mark alluded to it a little bit, is golfers don't go back there to practice the game at all. It's more of a social thing. It's after dinner you go out with some drinks and you slap the ball around and wager a little money if that's the case, and it's all in fun is what it is. It's definitely not meant for practice. Believe me, it'd be, if you went out there and practiced on that green and then went out on the golf course, you would suffer miserably, I'm sure. So,
yeah.
I actually make a joke of that on our tours, as I said, hey, listen, if you have a guest that comes to the club and you really want to have a competitive advantage, take them out to the Crags before you play. If you really want to have an experience where obviously it's truly all about the golf, bring them out afterwards, because it'll definitely mess with your head compared to what we have out on the course.
So to continue with that, I guess, it is a bent grass green. There are 4 different islands within the green. 2 of them have trees in them. One of them has scrub oak in it. And then the third is just kind of a rock outcropping, I guess, within the island. And in that island, we have what we refer to as the Crags Beacon. It was built by actually our equipment managers in the winter of 2020. And then we installed it in 2021. It stands about 15 feet high. The basket itself is 4 feet tall. And we ran a natural gas line to it, so we can start it like you would a fire pit. And this Crags Beacon, I guess, has about a 4-foot flame on it, and it lights the night sky, and you can see it from Castle Rock. So it's definitely makes it another unique factor of the Crags itself. So
that's really cool. What a cool thing to add to it. Also, I noticed, I heard about, in watching the video that talked about the work in constructing the putting course, there are putts that break 40 to 50 feet. Did I hear that right?
Yes. Yes, it's all use your imagination when you're out there. It's just as fun for us to set it up as it probably is to play, honestly. So you definitely, have to get the creative minds and creative juices flowing when you're out there setting it up, and you know how we set it up may not be how a golfer actually plays it, but
Mhm.
that's all in the fun and the challenge of it as well too. So there may be a pin and a tee box or a tee marker, you know, on either side of the island, and you have to figure out how to get there using the slopes. But you know, it's fair, it's playable. But again, it's mostly just to be fun. So
Right. And can you, Lance, can you talk a little bit about what you do? Mark was saying you change the routing for the course all the time. How does that work exactly? Can you explain? 'Cause I know, we're thinking about a normal 18-hole course. People, you change the pin placement
correct.
often and all that. Well, how does that work as far as changing the routing of the putting course? If you can explain that a little bit.
The way that it's built and the slopes, I don't know the exact number, but the elevation change on the actual green itself has got to be 40-50 feet,
Easy.
from the
Yeah.
high side to the low side. So how we like to do it is you know, the routing always starts, there's a fire pit up near the men's locker room, that's kind of the starting point of where hole number one is, and where the last hole ends. And we either work clockwise or counterclockwise kind of around the green, and through those islands, around the golf course. So that's kind of how we change the routing, I guess, per se. So some days it might be going downhill, for the first, you know, half dozen or half hole or half dozen holes, and then uphill the rest of the way, and the other way it's uphill, and then back downhill for the remaining holes. So it's there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. It was meant originally to have 18 holes on it. We have yet to actually put 18 out there. We
Okay.
kind of hover around the 12-hole mark right now. The longer the holes, you know, I know that when we do the globe golf, Mark likes to have the longer holes, and sometimes we'll end up with 9 or 10 holes, when we're doing that. So it's very fluid. It changes by the week. And going back to making or keeping it interesting, that's the whole aspect of changing the cups on a frequent basis. Is if a member and their guests come and eat dinner on a Friday evening, we'd like to have a different setup for them, you know, midweek next week. That way they can enjoy it again. You know, I don't know. I don't want to get into staffing stuff. So
Yeah.
Fair
but
enough.
if we
Gotcha.
had proper staff, we would probably change it honestly probably 3 times a week. So
Right. I see what you mean. Sure. No, that's fair enough. Yeah. And I imagine you must enjoy that as because it's probably if you're a creative person, you probably enjoy the idea of being able to change up the routing. And really, it sounds like you probably get to do more with that than you would with a standard 18-hole golf course as far as changing things up. Because obviously, a standard 18-hole golf course, there's an expectation about fairness and about how things are set up, and golfers want things to play fair. But if the point of this is to be fun, we can be, I guess, take more liberties with it. Maybe that's a good way to say it, right?
absolutely, yeah, you can stretch those limits, for sure. So, you know, rule of thumb on the golf course is, you know, the slope around the cup should be no greater than 2.5%, and you know, out there on the crags, it can be far greater than that. So,
Oh, that was something else too, right? So you're up to it's up to around 20%. Did I hear that right on the video? On the
correct,
yeah. Okay.
correct. There's 20% grades in some of the areas there, and you know, you utilize those slopes and those undulations to again create creative putts that some people wouldn't think. So you know, referring to that video, there was one putt in that video where the cup and the tee marker were no more than probably 20 feet, from each other, but if you went straight down the hill, there was no way that ball was going to stop. So you had to almost turn your back to the cup and hit it at a slope, about 20 feet away from you, and it would curve and come back down, and I think the ball nestled in right there near the cup within a couple feet. So
Wow. Cool. Just shift gears a little bit, Mark. Do you feel like before we came on here, you were talking about the fact that your your club is one of the only games in town that offers this type of an amenity at your club. So do you feel like that kind of gives you competitive advantage over your competitors, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, for us, it just adds to the experience. You know, for the last couple of years, we've been in top 100 clubs in America. Obviously, you continue to try to reinvent yourself, create new means and avenues. And part of the beauty of what has happened here over the last couple of years is a $20 million transformation, including 95% of the upstairs clubhouse space that directly overlooks that putting green. So, you know, before you used to sit on a terraced patio and you'd see scrub oak and then you'd see the mountains in the distance. Now you see people enjoying themselves on a 1 acre putting green, and it's literally hundreds of feet above the golf course down below. So it's opened up the view for the experience in the clubhouse. It's opened up the experience for the members that are out on the patio. It's one of the best patio experiences in the West. And adding the Crags just enhanced and made that even better. And so for us, yeah, it's that added component of it's meant for entertainment, as opposed to it's a piece of our practice facility. And that whole aspect has just elevated the whole experience for the entire membership. And it's just spectacular.
Excellent. So if we have club leaders that listen to this podcast, if they're listening today, from either of you, if they're listening today and are thinking about having a putting course like this at their facility, any tips you would offer? Any things that they should keep in mind?
I know we had the opportunity to present the Crags both at Golf Inc.'s conference as well as CMAA when we did all the branding of it. And a lot of the questions that came up from GMs and obviously owners were, you know, what are the things that you need to be aware of? And obviously you have the agronomy side of things in terms of caring for it every day. But on the operational side of things, those really were the most important things. So for us, it's how do you service it? Do you have the ability to run cocktail service as opposed to, you know, somebody walking up and down 50 feet of elevation change to go back and get a drink? You know, how often do you do that? How close is it in proximity to your other amenities? Is there an easy place to be able to do that? It'd be a totally different experience if it was, you know, yards and yards away, completely disconnected from everything that we do on an entertainment side. Then it would just feel like it's part of the practice facility. So I think those things, you know, it's wired for surround sound out there. It's got lights, you know, that do up lighting. You know, so our event creation aspect of things is enhanced because of the things that were thought of before and during the construction of the Crags. So
I would add too that it's just from a man-hour standpoint for the 1 acre putting green, it takes 3 hours to mow that. Walk mowers, 2 people, about an hour and a half in total. So it's a little bit, you know, labor added, I guess, you know, on an everyday basis. But that's the only cost factor really. So
Okay, very good. Some good things for club leaders listening to keep in mind with that. Well, hey, this has been a great discussion. I do have to wrap things up. Mark and Lance, I wish you the best of luck with your work at the club. Thank you for joining me here on Club Resort Talks.
it's been a pleasure.
thank you.
And for everyone else listening, to view more podcasts like this one and to read about all the latest news in the club and resort industry, visit clubandresortbusiness.com. As always, take care, stay well, and have a great day.